We are less than a month away from the newest entry in Nintendo's beloved ink shooting franchise Splatoon, and this time it's neither a numbered title or a DLC campaign. Splatoon Raiders is quickly approaching its release date of July 23rd, and we got the opportunity to take an early first look. Much of the information is already out there, from Nintendo's own dedicated spotlights to the recent Splatoon Direct itself. But how exactly does it play? Does a single mode from the core series warrant enough interest to dedicate an entire game around it? We're gonna get our toes wet as we dip into the sea of salmonids right here. Hello everyone, it's good to see you. Daniel here, and I've been a Splatoon fan since I first picked up a Splattershot in the days of the Wii U. Salmon Run, first introduced in Splatoon 2, was such a different feeling compared to the usual multiplayer 4v4 shootouts. It's just you and a team of 4 versus near endless waves of mobs trying to take over your position. But this pulls it back a little more. Accompanied by Deep Cut, you're a mechanic tasked with exploring the Spiralite Islands in search of treasure. The Salmonids, both old and new, are here to obstruct your ways, very rude of them. For anyone who has played Salmon Run before, you'll likely be able to adjust yourself fairly quickly. You might be a little thrown off by how the game isn't constantly putting you in a stressful, time-constrained segment with swaths of enemies coming at you at all times. I know that stress has put some people off of this mode before, but there's quite a lot of moments of downtime here. Splatoon Raiders adopts the pace of a single-player campaign that you might be more familiar with from the other titles. You have a hub in which you can take a breather to adjust your weapons, loadouts, organize upgrades, and more. And you might be spending more time doing so than you imagine because there is a lot to customize here. Character customization is as varied as always. Ooh, there's even a headband option this time? We had a few outfits already unlocked, and there are plenty more to find in-game, so you can look clean while making a mess. I feel that players are going to get the very most out of this game when they start to play with the mechanics presented at your fingertips. You get 3 tank styles: speed, power, and technical. You're allowed to attach up to 2 different gadgets that are tied to each of these tank styles. For speed, gadgets like the Blast Boot and Dash Bomb assist with maneuverability. It's like having a dodge roll with the dualies, except you can thrust yourself in any direction. The other functions like a mini splashdown, and it can be utilized for attacking a vulnerable group of enemies or double as an escape route. You also have access to the Booyarang, which will interrupt and damage enemies as it travels away and back to you again. It should be noted that all of these gadgets have a cooldown, so you can't be using them constantly whenever you want to. Power allows you to, well, utilize more powerful and offensive tactics than Speed's offerings. The Splatchet lets you lunge forward and swipe horizontally for one big strike, while the Splatolites will continuously circle around you and spreading ink. Despite being in the power category, this felt more defensive than anything. The spin wheels are tops that spin around and bounce all over the place, both on enemies and the terrain. Technical tank gadgets tend to require a bit more skill to use. The High Fiver will release and spread a series of inky strings that damages anything caught in its net. Bombloons will explode if you can connect more of them together in a chain. And the Shot Pots function sort of like an auto turret to aid with defense in front or offense if placed behind. I found use in utilizing them for both. It's pretty flexible. I ended up not really using technical very much at all because I was more drawn to speed and power tanks. Being able to position yourself is so valuable in a game like this, and the option to just wipe out several salmonids at the same time will never not feel satisfying. It was hard to decide between the two, but I ended up using the power tank the most. Gadgets are going to be where people really get creative and find a lot of the fun with this game. As you clear waves of enemies and beat stages, you'll get various drops to attach and modify your gadgets. Each has an individual maximum amount of points, and each attachment has a cost. The stronger it is, the higher the cost. One might increase the blast radius of an attack, another might cause more damage. I think one for the Splatolites added more so that it could reach up higher for more airborne or taller salmonids. I know there's some with more unique functions out there, and I'm eager to find more. You can really pile on your stats to focus all in on power or range, or find a balance between the two. By endgame, I feel like everyone's loadouts are going to be vastly different from one another. Your character has their own stats too. Using ability points, you can increase their maximum HP, damage output, gadget strength, and more. Like the gadget attachments, you can also modify yourself in unique ways with relics. These can range from decreasing the time your character is in danger when low on health, increase ink recovery when swimming, or even giving your character a double jump. The extra jump can also damage enemies with a little tap. It didn't seem very useful, but I'm sure it has its perks. Some relics are also solely tied to specific tanks. While there are several that can be used for any tank, an ability that increases damage dealt to far-off Salmonids can only be used by the tactical tank. That's only one example, just something to keep in mind. Your main weapons also have a lot of opportunities to shine as you pick up more, level them up, and discover unique abilities attached to them. You won't be randomly assigned a weapon and tough it out like in typical Salmon Run style, at least not all the time. It also feels like some of the ideas from Side Order made their way out of the roguelike format and into a more traditional Splatoon formula that emulates the single-player campaigns in the past. And it's not all just shooting Salmonids, there's puzzle stages too. One of the ones I encountered wanted me to perform specific tasks to progress. I was given a pre-made loadout, and that was pretty much my tutorial for the shot pots. It taught me how helpful they could be while defending, as well as the versatility of being able to toss the auto turret to a higher elevation. This feels a lot more like the single player that we're most used to in the Splatoon series. I'm glad that these are here because they do a lot to add some variety to the gameplay. And I think that's a major positive. Splatoon Raiders is taking a lot of ideas that worked previously and mixing it with the core gameplay of Salmon Run. They blend very well together to make what feels like a very cohesive experience and addictive gameplay loop. Deep Cut is also lovingly inserted into that loop. After discovering a little mech, you can pick a partner to accompany you on each and every mission. This mech is actually quite vital to your survival. Your partner will shoot enemies from afar as backup, but can also be summoned to your side at any points. They land with a little splash and will continue shooting. They can take hits for you, but I think the only downside is that if they take too much damage, they'll be stunned for a while. So you can't haphazardly throw them in front of you at every encounter. As you lay waste to the Salmonids, they'll drop eggs that will power your partner up. With enough, you can unleash a special called a Showstopper, which is the main difference between which member of D-Cut you invite on your missions. At least as far as I could tell. Big Man will let you surf on him as you ram into enemies and toss projectiles back and forth. This lasts the longest of the three. Fry, I believe, launches a wider range AoE attack with her fishy friends. And Shiver summons Master Mega for a huge attack. I think the best comparison I can make here is that it reminds me a lot of Ganondorf's Final Smash, where a huge guy shows up in front and just charges forward for one big strong attack. And yes, I did use her the most, but I did cycle between them all. She just seemed like the strongest of the trio. The loop of defeating Salmonids to collect eggs is very important, especially in a new wrinkle that I didn't expect from this game. I got to try a unique style of level in which we're drilling underground. While down here, we have to collect enough eggs before the time runs out. Once we collect enough, we'll automatically power our drill and go down even further. They pretty much function as a series of timed events, though not every single floor will make you work against the clock. These gave me such a familiar feel for the caves in Pikmin 2 and 4. A different format for sure, but the vibe of going down deeper into unknown numbers of levels was shockingly comfortable for me. I know those caves can give people anxiety, but I really enjoyed the formats. And much like those caves, you can also encounter a boss at the very end. They have already become my favorite format of stage design in Raiders. Though you do have to be careful, as you might come across some seasoned Salmonids down there. These guys are more powerful and have some different abilities from the usual type. They can do some really devious things if you're not careful. In my short time with the game, I found myself already utilizing a lot of the options presented to me. One of the most interesting ones comes from your partner. At nearly any time, you can hop off of them to get some air. You're able to hover for a little while and shoot the Salmonids from a safe height. At least for a time. The biggest risk versus reward here is that while you're safe in the air, you're gonna run out of ink eventually. If there's too many Salmonids in your landing area, you're gonna be in trouble. This new option demonstrates how the game is really taking new ideas into consideration and putting the player in situations they have never been in before. Verticality plays a bigger role in this game. Aside from your partner, there's some plants that will also cause you to leap up and float for a while. There's a fun amount of variety in the environment, like these plants, dash panels, and even surfboards to ferry you from place to place. I think that's what I love the most about this. The game constantly asks you to experiment. Even if you lose a stage, that's more of a learning experience than a complete loss. You'll constantly find new weapons, so don't worry if you're not a splatter shot or roller user, because your main weapon is probably somewhere in there. Even though I got comfy using gadgets available only for the power tank, the movement options of the speed tank were just as viable and useful. In one of the caves, I threw down with a boss using the umbrella of all things. But it was the support of my gadgets and the backup of Deep Cut that made that mission feel possible. Definitely not optimal, but that's where a lot of the fun of experimentation comes into play. Lastly, we also got to try multiplayer. The game features local and online multiplayer, allowing you to gear up with 3 friends for a more traditional salmon run expedition. Enemy strength scales depending on how many members you have with you and their own individual levels. You each bring any weapon or gadgets that you want. If someone gets too far ahead, you can jump right to the group. We were in the early stages, and our team knew our way around Splatoon, so we didn't have too much difficulty. But yeah, every stage is designed to also accommodate a full party. We had a lot of fun that way, and I can easily see people wanting to squad up and do full runs together. You can also go online and help out somebody seeking aid. You do get some rewards for doing so, which encourages people to lend a hand like a good Inkling or Octoling. I am glad that there's such a push for multiplayer. It wouldn't feel the same if this was entirely a single player campaign. But hey, if you want to go solo the whole way, that's your choice too. We love having options. Overall, I'm pretty excited. The visuals look amazing. Like, there was a cutscene that was genuinely the cleanest looking I have ever seen Splatoon now that it's on Switch 2. I am such a fan of Salmon Run, and I would love to squad up with my friends as we collect treasure, scream, and panic, just like in the good old times. For doing such a short segment, I already found myself in overwhelming and chaotic situations. That's awesome and terrifying. You are able to adjust the difficulty, which thankfully won't affect the treasures you earn. It mostly just gives enemies more health. Again, options. I'll have to see how daring our group gets. But that's all I've got here. Thank you so much for watching. Do you feel like you'll be giving Splatoon Raiders a shot? Which member of D-Cut are you going to mainly have as a partner? I would love to know down below. I'm leaning towards Shiver and the beast that is Master Mega. Those salty salmonids better watch out! Alright everyone, take care of yourselves. Till we meet again.